Recording. Okay. Hello, everybody. I will open up the chat. So Tom is back from sabbatical.
I am
Um,
indeed.
yeah, I figure y'all might want to hear a little bit about his wanders before we get started, if that's okay with Tom.
Yeah, well, it was Europe. I think I mentioned before that I announced, made my big announcement. I'm gonna be gone. So it was Bologna, Florence, each for a few days, and then we visited our daughter in Paris for the longest period. So that was like 8 days, and I already loved Paris, but then seeing it through her eyes and the places she's living and the coffee shops she's frequenting, that was awesome. Um, Seeing Notre like the highlight. If you want to know the highlight for me was Notre Dame. Obviously, had to see it, and then didn't realize that they were letting you go up, and that only happened recently. And so we that was the last like a touristy thing we did was sort of like sunset on the night before we left, and that was like spectacular, amazing. It's just yeah, word you can't even describe it. And the work that they did, the it just is amazing. So it was great. And then I came home and I did a lot of things, but nothing book related. So I'm spent today catching up on what's selling, what are the books that are out. Julia saw me last night try to present books, and it more or less
Oh,
came back.
he was a delight.
I was nervous though that how will I talk about these books that I had forgotten about? But yeah, it feels good to be back here, to be there, to be at the store we were presenting at last night. It's all good. This community is. I do need this. I miss this community. There's a lot of things I didn't miss, but this I missed.
Lori is asking if you went to any good bookstores.
Oh, well, I did actually, not in Paris so much, not in Italy or France, but then I forgot. Just by myself went to London for a couple of days and, I did the big Waterstones. I think they're all owned by the same, I think Waterstones well, Daunt owns all of these stores. But I saw Hatchards and, there's another famous London one. Didn't make it to Daunt Books this time, but I had seen it the last time. So I love seeing our books I've never seen before here. But I love seeing, yeah, the British editions of all of our books. So I couldn't not go to a bunch of bookstores.
Do you remember
I
which
don't,
Waterstones you went to, Tom?
It was in Piccadilly.
Oh
It's
yeah, the big one,
unbelievable.
the daddy
It's
one.
huge.
Yeah.
Like five floors. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's big.
honestly, I mean, I admire it, but it's too big for me. That's not
Yeah.
what I like in a bookstore, but uh had to do it. And then Foyles was the other one. But if I may be wrong, but I think they're all owned by the same entity.
Now I think yes.
Yeah, I mean, weren't always, but and maybe that's not quite right. Maybe Daunt owns some, Waterstones, which he runs, owns others. I don't know. But books seem to be alive and well there.
excellent.
At the Waterstones in Piccadilly, they did have a whole like the basement was like a museum of penguin. It was like the history. I don't know what in England that what anniversary they're celebrating. I can't remember, but it was like original drawings of the penguin. It was highlights from every decade of penguin books. I spent a lot of time just like taking all that in. That was cool.
That must have been kind of surreal.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, so I loved it.
Wow. Yeah, Julia, you have a while yet to get to your sabbatical.
Yeah, Hachette's is every 15 years, so I have like 12 and a half years to go.
Julia, let me tell you, they just fly by.
Yes. I mean, the first two and a half have
Yeah,
certainly flown by.
honestly, it's true.
Yeah.
Um, Darcy said that Vagabond has a good section devoted to Mike Nichols.
Oh,
Vagabond is Tim Curry's biography.
oh, right,
It's
right,
just
right. I've
out.
been reading about that. Yeah.
Did what did Mike Nichols direct that he was in? I wonder.
I know I'm thinking about that too.
I'm
I'll have to
trying to think.
consult
I
my
don't think
my
Mike Nichols did Clue. So
Yeah, Darcy, please enlighten us. And Kim is reading King Sorrow. Scream! And just finished King of Ashes and I Cheerfully Refuse. Good
Ooh.
ones. All right. I'm gonna let Julia and Tom do four books today since I'd rather hear about what they have than talk about books myself. So, Tom, please start us off.
All right. Well, there's obviously no shortage since I've been gone for 4 weeks. There's no shortage of books for me to talk about. There's plenty. And today I'm going to talk about a bunch of different kinds of books, but two like literary giants, starting with Thomas Pynchon, author of Shadow Ticket, which came out 3 weeks ago, I think, just about. So, starting at the beginning, Thomas Pynchon is 88 years old, I think, now, and he's been writing since the 50s. Um, he lives the kind of author's life that can't be lived anymore, I would say, which is to say, reclusive. He doesn't, on the rare occasion when he publishes a new novel, he doesn't do media. We've never seen an interview with him. There are no pictures. He just lets the work speak for itself, which is always, now that we've published, this is I think the fourth of the books we've published of his. And it's always interesting to watch the critical response because, well, we don't do arcs or galleys, so it's all everyone, it's fresh for everyone. It's not like the world has been reading, in the business, they've been reading the new Thomas Pynchon. Nothing happens until the day of publication. And so critics are always catching up to him, and I mean, it's interesting to watch. The reviews have been very good, for the most part, but having watched what happened with Against the Day and Inherent Vice and Bleeding Edge, time passes and the critical, like the way people think about the previous books, it goes back to Mason and Dixon, which we didn't publish. Those books are held in much higher esteem 10, 15, 20 years later than they were at the time because there's just so much to take in. So he's written these big books like not Inherent Vice. Against the Day was a 500 or 600 page book. Gravity's Rainbow, his most famous book, huge, difficult. Um, but late period Pynchon is much more accessible. So that started with Inherent Vice, which was a detective story set in Southern California. Continued with Bleeding Edge about 8 years ago or so. And now Shadow Ticket kind of continues in that vein because it's also, to say it's genre and Pynchon's genre, yes, it is it's another Private Eye. But in this case, he takes us back to the 1930s. You can kind of see that from the cover. Definitely set in the past, just in the years before World War II are beginning. So you get Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and of course, the thing about Pynchon, like, yeah, he's almost through his fiction, he's predicted where we are right now, I would say. Like, he was anti-fascist before it was cool. And so it's interesting in this book. So, well, I'll give you it's so hard to talk about a Pynchon book, I find, but since we didn't have anything to read, this is what we let the world know about the new Thomas Pynchon. Hicks McTaggart. So another thing to know about Pynchon, the names are wildly, Hicks McTaggart. They're hilarious. That's part of his thing. Hicks McTaggart, a one-time strikebreaker turned private eye, thinks he's found job security until he gets sent on what should be a routine case, locating and bringing back the heiress of a Wisconsin cheese fortune who's taken a mind to go wandering. By the time Hicks catches up with her, he will find himself also entangled with Nazis, Soviet agents, British counterspies, swing musicians, practitioners of the paranormal, outlaw motorcyclists, and the troubles that come with each of them. So it kind of gives you a flavor, but what is interesting about, there's a reason. I'm speaking for Thomas Pynchon. I shouldn't do that, but it seems like there's a reason why he's writing about Nazis, fascism, that time period. He's never going to be one to spell out anything, but it's there. So anyway, we have a new Thomas Pynchon. You can only say that every 8, 9, 10, who knows how many years. I love this piece. He's hard to review, so the reviews have been really interesting to check out. But the Washington Post, this kind of was, I thought, put it well. Of all living novelists, Pynchon may have the most distinct voice, a clipped, tough guy patois delivered with the rhythms of Borscht Belt comedy, amplified by an endless appetite for linguistic play. That has proved largely inimitable. It's not just that no one else writes quite like Pynchon, it's that no one even tries. The endless accumulation of incident pulls you along, but sometimes you have to stop and marvel at any given sentence, much as you might a 170-foot tall bottle of ketchup that suddenly looms above you during a road trip. So I think that gets at the distinctive quality of reading a Pynchon, and that's why he has. I mean, it jumped on the New York Times bestseller list immediately because he has there are a lot of fans who, hang on his every word in his every book. So, Shadow Ticket by Thomas Pynchon. And I didn't
Awesome.
even mention the New York Times did a great piece talking to writers about like I can't remember how they put it, but it was like their favorite moments in a Pynchon book or but the best part was Lisa Simpson and Homer Simpson discussing to Pynchon because the Simpsons are the writers of the Simpson creators are famously fans of Pynchon, and he has appeared, so to speak, on The Simpsons. So he's has impact far and wide.
Amazing. Thank
My
you.
personal favorite is the Crying of Lot 49. So
Ah,
I haven't
yeah.
read that. I have to.
it's thin, which is
Yeah,
very
yeah,
from those older Pynchons. That's a very nice change of pace. I know his newer ones aren't as fat as some of the older ones
yes,
used to be.
yes.
Okay, I have you guys. It's a banner day. This is my favorite cookbook of the season. It's probably my favorite cookbook of the year. It might be my favorite cookbook of all time. So I'm gonna start with The Talisman of Happiness, the most iconic Italian cookbook ever written by Ada Boni. You can see forwards by Lydia Bastianich, Katie Perla. There's 1,680 recipes in this cookbook. Okay, so I've shown you the cover here. Now I'm gonna take myself off that and I will show you. It's thick, it's big. So this book was originally written and came out in Italy in 1929. This is the first time it has ever been fully translated into English. This is the cookbook that every Italian has on their bookshelf. It is like you can see it's not super like flourishy, but there's just tons of recipes. So every one of these little red, that's all the titles of a recipe. So it's just full of recipes. And what I love about it is it'll have like, okay, beefsteak, so bistecca, and that's beef in Italian. Okay, so it's got all of these different variations on beef. So it'll have different vegetables, it'll have different ways of cooking it, but it'll all be under this one sort of umbrella of cooking beef. And what I think is so great is that like if you're a seasoned chef, it's a great, I mean, there's so many recipes, you get so many ideas. But if you're someone who's learning how to cook, it's a great book because it really teaches you how to cook with different flavors. So it'll be like, beefsteak with these two kinds of vegetables, and then beefsteak with these two kinds of vegetables, and cooked this way and cooked that way. And so it really is like a comprehensive cookbook. I think it's great for either beginning cooks or a bit more experienced cooks. It is utterly delightful and charming. When they first introduced this to us at our sales conference, I was like, now where's the recipe for me to cook from? Because I need to try this. And they said, well, it's still being translated. And I said, well, I speak Italian, so please send me a recipe. And they said, well, it's not just being translated from Italian, it's also being translated from like Italian grandma. Because it's like a lot of the recipes in Italian aren't, their measurements aren't exact. And they're, so I one of my prized possessions from my grandfather is a recipe that he gave me of my favorite thing that he used to make. It's a fritter called a bitarelli, and it's there's not one measurement on it, and the main ingredient is missing because you should just know what the main ingredient is. So it's like I had that kind of charm when they were talking to me about how they had to translate it. And the last thing I'll say is that the editor of this book, he edited Samin Nosrat's Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. And she is the person who put him on the trail of this book. So she told him, there's this Italian cookbook that's never been translated into English. You should go after it and translate it. And so she was the one who really sent him on this wild goose chase and this sort of so there was a great article that interviewed him in the New York Times a couple of weeks ago. This comes out tomorrow, so I think you're going to see a lot about it. I will say we have already sold out of the first print run, and the second and third are coming towards the end of November and in early December to get us through the holidays. So if this feels like a book that you might buy for someone, I would say order it now, buy it now, or like buy it now if you can, and then pre-order it from Warwick's, because if they put in another order, we can get it to you before the holidays. So it's wonderful. This is the Talisman of Happiness. It truly will make you delighted and happy.
Wow. Is the story of him the editor hunting down the book in this or no?
There are some different introductions, and he definitely talks about like the importance of it. I don't know how excuse me. He doesn't go deep into the story, but he definitely talks about sort of some of the joy of trying to find this, and the rights to it and all of that. So it's really
That
great.
sounds like that could be its own separate book.
I think
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
he
for
would write. Yeah,
sure.
when he writes his memoirs later in life, maybe.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is
And
the
I was going to
Go
say,
ahead.
hard to believe that it hasn't made its way here until now. That's incredible.
It's like there have been these like very abridged small editions that have had
Right,
some of the recipes,
right,
but it's never been fully translated
right, and never done properly, I'm sure.
and never done properly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really great. It's a great gift. It's a really charming book. Very well. I'm giving it to my mom for Christmas, my
Yeah.
extremely Italian mom. So yeah.
And what was the title of it originally, The Talisman of Happiness?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the translated title. Yeah.
Well, no, the
Kitchen,
title alone is
yeah,
amazing.
I know.
Kitchen Witches.
Yeah. So
Cool. Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, Tom.
Okay, literary giant number two. So we start with Pynchon, who probably started writing 60 years ago or something like that. 25 years ago, Zadie Smith published White Teeth, and we have a new book from Zadie Smith out tomorrow. It's called
Did
Dead
you
and
say
Alive.
25 years? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's
White Teeth.
been that long?
Yeah, 25.
Holy moly. Okay,
I
wow.
know. But
Continue.
there's a great interview with her at the New Yorker Radio Hour. And they start with talking about like, because she has like, I guess she said publicly, like, I don't even know that girl, that 25-year-old who had the whatever I had at that time to write White Teeth. And so she can't believe that it's been 25 years, I think. Um, so, so I mean, it's not many books since. I think it's probably five novels or so. The last one was The Fraud, which was one of the New York Times 10 best of the year. That was her first historical novel. But a lot of readers feel like it's like which is better, her essays or her novels? Both are incredible. So when we get it, it's a rare kind of writer who, when we get an essay collection, we're excited. Like this is something that is going to make, the light up the literary world. So these are 10 essays. Some have been published before in the New Yorker or the New York Review of Books. Some haven't been published at all. Um, and what I love about them, so it's called Dead and Alive. So it's all over the world of art. So there are films. One of the most famous essays out of this is her essay on the film Tar. There's essays on artists, and of course other writers, Martin Amis, Hilary Mantel, Toni Morrison, Joan Didion, and you get both personal, in some cases her personal interactions with them, and then like you zoom into the personal, and then you zoom out to her larger ideas about these artists. Um, and every essay that you read, or at least the way I read them, it's like I feel so much smarter. I feel so much, you know, the way she thinks art through critically and then but humanely is really it's impressive every single time. Um, so yeah, I love everything about this book. And I love hearing Zadie talk about Zadie. So her interviews are fantastic, but she's just so herself and so honest. Her critical reactions and of course politics, even though she's writing about art, politics seeps into everything she's writing. And there are some political essays here also. Um, so highly recommend the new Zadie Smith Dead and Alive essays. I also love that cover.
Thank you.
God, I
Yeah,
love Zadie Smith.
she's so good.
She's so good. Um, NW. It's for me. That's my favorite Zadie Smith book.
Oh, for me it's on Beauty.
Oh God, yeah, that one's a great too. Okay, I have as my next one. Um, this is called The Water Remembers, My Indigenous Family's Fight to Save a River and a Way of Life. So, um, I don't know. If you are a Californian, you know that water is a big deal. That we have a lot of opinions and thoughts about water and who is getting it and who is they're getting it from. Amy Bowers Cordalis is an Indigenous woman, and she is part of the group, which is partially tribal and partially, activist group. She is a Requa Indian, or Requa Native American, and she is part of this group that helped undam the Klamath River up in very northern California. So it's a book about that in certain ways. I mean, in a lot of ways, it's a book about that fight, that political fight to undam the Klamath River. There was even an article today talking about how almost immediately after they undammed the river, the salmon came back and started breeding in the Klamath River up in way northern California. And it's also a book about sort of indigenous care for the earth and how these indigenous tribes know how to care for the parts of the earth that they come from and sort of have this knowledge still to this day and why it's important. So I grew up with a dad. My dad's favorite book was Cadillac Desert, and my dad's favorite movie was Chinatown. He had a lot of opinions on California's water. And so this to me feels like the California water book or the West water book that we sort of need right now. It takes into account indigenous wisdom when it comes to this kind of thinking about California's water and our water supply. And California, as you all know, is sort of boom or bust with with that's true. Hey Duke does live. Um, boom or bust with its economy as well as its water. But so it's really, I don't know. It to me feels like a great sort of new telling of that story in a way that we sort of haven't heard it before, and from voices we've really haven't heard from, um, due to no fault of their own, but voices that we need to hear more from. It's great. The Water Remembers. It's very readable, but also if you have a love for the nature and the flora and fauna of California, I think you'll really, really love this book. So I really highly recommend it. And even if your dad didn't make you read Cadillac Desert when you were in high school, as I assume maybe yours didn't, this one is still gonna really resonate with you, I promise.
When I
Julia,
first when I first started at Penguin, Cadillac Desert, it's on the Penguin backlist. It was
Yep.
Cadillac Desert was very much it was not new then, but it was of the moment. So it's
Yeah,
great.
it came out in like 1985 or something.
I know
So
it's even before my time,
yeah,
but it was still fresh.
yeah.
Backlist.
Julia, I hope you one day write a memoir
Of,
because
Yeah,
my
are
insane parents.
you working on a memoir quietly, Julia, so that
I hope so.
No,
it's all ready to go when the time
I'm not.
comes?
I'm not. I do joke with my mom that if I ever wrote one, it would be called "And Then I Made Friends with the Bartender" because she says anytime you go anywhere and tell a story, that's how it starts. So
That's a good one.
someday.
Think about
Okay,
it.
so my next book is it's going to be one of the biggest books of the holiday season. It's Always Remember. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, the Horse, and the Storm. So I was hoping I didn't know if I Gabe might be on this today because I vividly remember Gabe presenting that book more than once because they did well every holiday season it would come back it would right and they get bigger than the holiday season before the original book and they did a regular edition to start with. Then they did it like I think it became a film also. So there was like an animated version that came from the film, and there was a deluxe edition. So Penguin Random House Penguin has the sequel, Always Remember, and we just went straight ahead for the deluxe edition. So we're starting with the deluxe. This is it. It'll be a deluxe edition, and it's gorgeous. It's printed in Italy. Um, they joked about it, being a special printer, like a handmade, like an old Italian man up a hill making these things for making these books the way they're supposed to be made, um, for publishers around the world because we published all on the same day, which was maybe a week ago. I can't remember exactly. It was while I was gone. But so the characters that people loved, those characters, the boy, the mole, the fox, the horse, are back. In this case, the boy gets separated from his friends when there's a storm. But of course, all of this is allegory for the trials that we all go through every day. We all have a storm. We're all living through a storm. Um, and the illustrations are, in the same vein as the first one. This is the way he works. Um, I love the storm is dark, but what the line that it really stuck with me is this storm is making me tired, said the boy. I know, said the horse, but storms get tired too. So that's something for like me to keep in mind that storms get tired too. Anyway, it's a beautiful book that will be a great holiday gift for so many people. We all know so many people who love the first book. So always remember out now for the holidays.
That's quite the coup for
I
Penguin.
know. I know. Worldwide, Penguin Random House worldwide, all at
Wow.
once. I don't know how many copies because they sold. I don't know how many. Harper sold 6 million. I don't know, 4 million, 3 million, many millions. So it's great, and it's been 6 years since that book was originally published.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so he takes his time and seems like I watched a video with him, super sweet man. So you can see where the gentleness, the sweetness comes from in the books.
Cool. Thank you. Definitely a holiday gift.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So my next one is a San Diego local author. Um, and this is it's definitely it could be a gift book. It could be a gift book for oneself as well. But this is The Skateboard Life: Movers, Shakers, Makers, and Rule Breakers. Yeah, it's like you turn it different ways. So Neftali Williams, the author of this, he is the director of the SDSU, San Diego State University Center for Skateboarding, Action Sports, and Social Change. And so he is a professor at SDSU. He's got a great pedigree when it comes to talking about the contents of this book. And this is um, just it's both a history, it's sort of a cultural document. You can see it's got some great photography. Um, and it looks at skateboarding um, since the beginning. So he tells the history of skateboarding up through the present through like talking about individual skateboarders. So one of the things is like a lot of people forget that skateboarding was invented by these sort of, I mean, forgive my beach town slang, but I would call them little Groms. And it was like invented by these little Grom kids that were running around the streets of Venice, California, without a lot of adult supervision. And when the waves would get bad or like too out of control and they couldn't surf, they would start skateboarding around Venice. And Venice wasn't a great neighborhood at the time. These are not rich kids. These are kids who sort of were figuring out how to have a good time. So he tells the story through those. Tony Alva, who was one of the original Dog Hamzy boys who invented skateboarding. And then he tells, Tony Hawk, who's the OG. He tells it through different activist skaters. So women who started skateboarding professionally through the lens of Neftali Williams himself is a Black man. So through a lens that sort of is extremely inclusive and talks about skateboarding and how inclusive it has been, even if sometimes how we see it portrayed is not inclusive. That actually this sport, when you think about when you go through sort of who the major players are and have been, it's incredibly diverse. Thank you, Amanda, for defining Grom. I appreciate you. That's my Santa Cruz coming out. But this book is just, and it has these different sections: the activists, the futurists, and it goes through just like these bios. It goes through the photographers, the people who captured skateboarding on film and made people sort of fall in love with it, even if it wasn't happening near them. This is just a great book, a great sort of treasure about not just the history of skateboarding, but also the future of skateboarding. So it's a really good one.
I needed that definition. Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry. It's like, when you're like, that's what we call it. I don't know. I don't know what an actual word for it is.
I like etymology, so I had to look it up.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, we when you grow up in a surf town, there's a lot of Groms that just hang out.
I grew up in St. Louis, so that's different. But Anne grew up here, so she probably knows that.
Yeah.
In Ventura. She grew up in Ventura.
No, you're from St. Louis?
Yeah.
That explains
Cardinals
a lot.
fan.
You have that
Cardinals fan.
Yeah.
You have that charm that comes from that part of the country.
Midwestern
That makes
charm.
perfect sense. Yeah.
Okay, I have another book. Should I go?
Yeah.
Okay. So, speaking of one kind of storm that we're all living through, I have a book to get us through. It's called Giving Up is Unforgivable. A Manual for Keeping a Democracy by Joyce Vance. So Joyce Vance, I know her best from like she's been on MSNBC for years now. Starting, I don't know when, but she's been one of those voices that you look to. She's a former U.S. attorney, so you look to her for comfort in terms of the law, like explaining like how it's being broken, how the guardrails can hold if they are to hold, all that stuff. So she's very much in the same. So 2 years ago we published. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. Last year it was Sharon. Oh God, see this is help me out, people. Heather Cox Richardson 2 years ago, the historian who wrote about the same kind of things, like putting what's happening now in historical framework. Last year it was Sharon, who is Julie was a big fan of Sharon Says So. Same kind of thing. She's America's social studies teacher. I can't remember the name of the book. So Joyce Vance's same time this year, we're publishing this. And of course, in the last 2 years and since last year, much has changed. So we need keep needing new voices, new frameworks, new ways of understanding our history that are also practical and can keep us moving. Oh, Small and the Mighty was yeah. Oh, yeah. Small and the Mighty, Democracy Awakening 2 years ago last year. And now this year it's Giving Up is Unforgivable. So it's, civics class, it's history, but it's really practical too. What we can do, what we should do, what we have to do if we're going to survive this moment. So it's a call to arms, but very digestible, it's a short, easy read that she's just got a really like sensible voice that I find very calming in this moment, and I need all the calming I can get. So Joyce Vance, Giving Up is Unforgivable, just out last week. I
Thank you.
got there somehow, eventually. My brain
I
started to
like
work again.
I have to admit to people a lot of times that I see book covers in my head and I like
Yeah.
don't even know what the words on the page are half the time.
You're
So
right. I could see the books, both of
yeah,
them.
I'm like that one. Can't you
Yeah.
see the picture that's in my head? Okay, I have a final one as well. So this is just I picked out a personal favorite. This came out last week. This is Yakira Diaz's This Is the Only Kingdom. Yakira Diaz wrote a memoir a couple of years ago called Ordinary Girls. Um, and this is her first novel. It is longlisted for the first novel prize at the Center for Fiction, and has been getting glowing reviews and a lot of excitement. It's been nominated for a few different prizes, and I'm going to apologize for not having those off the top of my head. But This Is the Only Kingdom by Yakira Diaz. So I know every once in a while we admit to you that we don't always get to read every book cover to cover, and there are those ones that you simply refuse to stop reading because you just need to know and you need to finish it. And this is one of those for me. I refused to stop reading it. It is it's three generations of Puerto Rican women. Yakira Diaz was born in Puerto Rico and now lives in New York, but so this is a world that she knows very well. It's a barrio in Puerto Rico. And it's about these women, a mother, a daughter, and a grandmother. And the mother sort of, when she's young, she takes up with this. He's kind of an outlaw in their little barrio, and she ends up pregnant. I won't give away what happens with him or what happens sort of in the novel because that's all about the reading. But there's this sort of Robin Hood storyline to it. And there's also, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you that parts of it are very hard. In insofar as that, like they're emotional, they're deeply felt. It definitely made me cry at least twice. when I was reading this novel. But it's so gorgeously wrought. The three women at the center of the book, you just, even when you kind of hate them, which sometimes they do things that you're like, why are we doing this? You love them so deeply. And what I love about this book is it's one of those books that it doesn't sugarcoat anything, but it also offers rays of hope as you're reading it, and particularly towards the end. And it's sort of, I like to say that it's the kind of book that like shows you how um as we sort of move through history, as we sort of move further into acceptance of people and who they are in every sort of facet of them, that allows rays of hope to shine through. And so it is just, I mean, I can't say enough about how stunningly well it's written. It's emotional, it's beautiful, and I really hope you'll enjoy it. It's one of my favorite novels of the year. So
Wow.
Sounds so good.
it's like, I'm sorry I can't give you the plot because like I feel like you have to sort of experience it for yourself, but it's so worth it. It's a book that's so worth your time and effort and energy. So
Thank
there you
you.
go. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Ah, that was a good flock of books. Thank you. Tom, you came right back in like gangbusters. I know you were worried
Okay,
about being rusty, but
okay,
nah.
good. Good.
We've got lots of events coming up still. Thomas Schlesser tomorrow talking about Mona's Eyes. You've heard us talking about that. Susan Orlean on Wednesday
Ooh.
talking about her new biography, her autobiography, memoir, Joyride. And then next week, Michael Connolly, the eighth Lincoln Lawyer novel on Tuesday at USD. Please join us if you're local for all these. And thank you both so much. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think tomorrow too in the email I'm sending out, I'll also include some of our tea time viewer picks because there were a lot of good ones
Oh
mentioned
yeah.
in the chat today. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know Susan Orlean's birthday is Halloween. That's cool. I'll
it's
have to pass
fitting.
that on. All right. Thank you.
Thank
Welcome
you
back,
both. Good to
Tom.
see
Thank
you.
you, Julia.
Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone.
Bye.